Meets the Squirrel Queen. She'll catch who stole your purse and save the universe. She's fought Ultron dinosaurs. She's held Mjolnir on the moon. She knows how to code and she knows how to fight. She will defend what's right. She can beat Thanos dead. She'd befriend him instead. And then help him with all his issues. Squirrel Girl is basically what happens when you fuse a gag squirrel with a Marvel female. There's some that debate if she's gaggy or not. I mean, she has like a little running gag of being unbeatable. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is the name of her comic series, for example. And on her power grid on Marvel.com, they kind of acknowledge this gag a little bit because all her stats on the power grid are maxed out. Like, what? Squirrel Girl kind of reminds me of Gwenpool a little bit. Like, I talked about Gwenpool before on the channel, but Gwenpool is one of those gaggish type characters where her strength be changing for comics. Like, if it's a more serious story with stakes, they make her strength lower so she won't be too much of a gag in that story. Like, certain occasions she struggles to do a pull-up, like Gwenpool, for example, but then other occasions, she can kick and hurt Hell Lords in his own dimension like Mephisto. You notice that Squirrel Girl's here, too. They would have Gwenpool and Squirrel Girl in a comic together, wouldn't they? Squirrel Girl kind of reminds me of Gwenpool. Like in this particular situation, we literally see her punch the Silver freaking Surfer. But I wouldn't necessarily say she's as gaggy as Gwenpool. She seems to be a little bit toned down because they do admit that this does hurt her. So yeah, she got like a little pinch of gagginess in her here and there. But you will see as this video goes farther. Squirrel Girl technically has a clone that's basically almost exactly like the real Squirrel Girl. So you can almost get an idea of Squirrel Girl's power by what the clone does. The clone does some crazy stuff. So if you see feats in this video where I bring up feats of the clone's feats, and I don't mention that it's the clone, just know that both these feats should apply. They're interchangeable, you know, just food for thought. Back in her debut of comics, she started off as 15, but there seems to be evolution because 5 years later, she's still a comic character in her 20s, even chilling with the main characters that we know of at time. Like when her powers are explained, it literally says she has all the powers of both a squirrel and a girl, and she uses her abilities to fight crime. Pretty simple. See, if you're not familiar with Marvel Comics, there's a lot of characters that get powers from accidents, but hers was like, she's like a mutation type character, aka being born with it. She literally bonded with squirrels, made a close friend with a literal squirrel, who she named Monkey Joe. Her squirrel buddies can use computers. Her buddies temporarily become Silver Surfer-like by becoming the Silver Squirrel, by having the power Cosmic. Oh my God. But that was temporary. That's not something the squirrel keeps, of course. The squirrels are actually smarter than you think, even smart enough to rewire stuff if needed. I mean, in the early days, she was a big fan of Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man's pretty cool, so she literally wanted to show Iron Man that she could be rough and tough, because even back then in her early days, she was a fan. She can kind of have a whole bunch of squirrels surround her and make squirrel armor. She really does like Iron Man because, yeah, she literally can come out of the squirrel armor and they can keep moving on their own, like a legion of squirrels. Yeah, it's kind of weird. The armor actually does help her punch harder. She punched through a bank wall. Look at her piloting this massive Iron Man mech, for example. So yeah, she's a fan. Just like pretty much every Marvel character, she's been on her fair share of adventures. See, on this power grid, it doesn't look so gaggy. You know what I mean? Seems to be legit stats, but her strength is still pretty high, 4. Not bad. But yeah, she has enhanced strength, speed, agility, and reflexes. Her metabolism is likely quite high, requiring regular feeding. She also has pretty much bodily weaponry. She has small claws on each digit to enhance her gripping and climbing like a squirrel. Retractable knuckle spike, able to carve through solid wood. This bodily weaponry is part of the reason why she can dig so good along with her strength and stuff. Or dig or draw into bricks. She can like carve or write messages in brick because of these claws she got in her fingers and crap. It's the same concept with cutting through glass. I mean, she got claws everywhere, even in her knuckles. This comes in handy when she's facing people that are armored up. Yeah, she's full of blades on her body. I guess on top of this, you can say her teeth are weapons too, because even when she's in Kraven's net, she can bite through it. She even straight up states she can bite with 1,085,000 pounds of pressure. She can chew through a solid steel floor with her powerful teeth. That's thousands of times more powerful than as powerful as dog bites. Just for those that don't really know what that number means. Yeah, she can bite really hard. And a bushy semi-prehensile tail, which can use to cover others' eyes or wrap around herself for warmth. She can jump, aka leap several stories, and she can perfectly mimic squirrel sound. She has enhanced vision, squirrel night vision, and all that. And peripheral vision. Let's get into how strong she is, shall we? We've seen examples of her lifting up stuff or just showing ideas of her grip strength. Stuff you would think wouldn't take that much strength is a lot harder than you think. Stuff like tearing desks in half. Like you would think that ain't nothing impressive in comics, which is not, but like If you try to do this, trust me, it's a lot harder than you think. Or stuff like simply throwing men this far is a lot harder than you think, considering they're 200 pounds and she's doing this with laughable ease. You do me a favor and start picking people up like this. You're going to see how hard this actually is. Beings that got away over 220 pounds, she can literally sling in the air, juggle, even if you're Craven the Hunter, and literally hold him like a baby. Like, even if you're 4 or 5 civilians, you can just get tossed this many. I mean, you can kind of get an idea of how strong she is just from her leaping ability, like her legs, her jumping with people on her. So she's jumping with a lot of weight on her. This still doesn't stop her from jumping really far across the city. I bet you she never needs help bringing groceries in. Yeah, I know this is a cover, but like, she more than likely probably can lift all of this weight and surprise people in a gaggy way. This right here pretty much proves she can at least lift up cars. Like, you see her lift up the tip of a car. Like in this particular situation, burning building, these people need help. She was holding up this beam for them and was strong enough to push it aside. In this particular situation, she was kind of shrunken and she was able to move this rock. These bulldozers can vary in weight, but this proves she can lift several tons, even up to 5 or 10 tons based on her catching this bulldozer. It kind of adds up when you think about the fact there was this large vehicle. She has the strength to flip this kind of stuff. She's strong enough to be the leverage for people to where she can just handle the recoil when characters are using their powers. She's the one basically keeping them from blowing backwards. Stop Spider-Man from shooting his webs, like Kraven and Spider-Man in this situation. She's literally stopping punches from super soldier tier type beings. We know how strong Kraven is. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say Kraven's equal to Spider-Man in like in a weightlifting contest, but we've seen Kraven like clash with Spider-Man's muscles plenty of time. We literally see Kraven's muscles, Spider-Man struggling to get Kraven off of him with his muscles. Yeah, that's why her doing something like this is nothing to scoff over. Like, Spider-Man, for example, is a character that can lift over 60 plus tons over his head and stuff, you know. Like, there was these spiked walls that were closing in. She was kind of able to keep these walls from closing in. There's occasions like this that imply she can lift even up 60 tons, similar to Spider-Man, or even higher, one could say, because this monster looks like it probably weighs over hundreds of tons. Like, her hand is the size of one of the monster's teeth. She's holding this monster's mouth open with laughable ease with one arm. She probably can do even better with 2 hands. This monster's teeth are literally the size of her hand, so this monster's humongous. Stuff like this implies she can lift over 100s of tons. Like, you know, she got to be kind of strong to where she used a part of her body to kind of help this train track. She used her body as a bridge for the train to literally go all over her like this, for example. This stuff makes it kind of more believable that she probably can lift over hundreds of tons, right? Even though she wasn't necessarily lifting it up, she was kind of using herself as a bridge, but still. For sure, this shows her superhuman durability, though. It would be weird out of all this strength stuff I went over if she couldn't hit hard with all this. You know what I mean? Yeah, don't ask. Yeah, there's an Ultron dinosaur. Yep, this Ultron dinosaur admitted that she can punch harder than most humans. So the stuff I'm about to go over or tell you about shouldn't really be a surprise. Like, we've seen her hit beings like Dum Dum Dugan clones. Kicks do this to some muggers. Even if you're wearing armor, it's the same concept with Doombots. Literally having a full-blown conversation, teaming up with Ms. Marvel, beating up these AIM goons. She can technically hurt you, and yeah, don't steal purses. She'll punch your teeth out. There's implications here. She might have did her own thunderclap, but this could have been just Luke Cage. But yeah, implications she can blow people back with her thunderclap. This gorilla part man, she can damage. Yeah, these animals, evolved human animals, we see her give some hands to, literally can solo animals. Make characters like the Punisher sleepy with a chair hit. Remember that giant monster that I showed you earlier? She was trying to hold the mouth open of that being. Remember that being? Well, let's just say she can casually backhand these monsters. Like, look how huge these monsters are. Like, she can just say, get the heck off of me. And you would think they wouldn't feel her hits based on her size, but yep, they actually feel her hit. She can punch hard enough to damage Hydra mechs, armored things. Otto Octavius, Spider-Man villains she hits. The longer this video goes, the more crazy these feats get, like literally Red Skull. We literally see her one punch him through a roof and make him drowsy. You know, the leader, the guy that is as smart as the Hulk is strong, we see her punch him too and make him sleepy or drowsy for 2 seconds. Like, we've seen her take on beings like Giganto, that beings that are bigger than buildings. It would be a little weird if she or her and her squirrels couldn't do devastating damage to buildings. There's implications here. She could just punch the building apart. Using all this gear in conjunction with each other, she got gear that does all the Black Widow stuff. Yep, able to kind of get a W on freaking Spider-Man. Not to mention the real Squirrel Girl can do the same thing in Spider-Man Tiers 2. Like, yeah, literally soloing everybody, including super soldiers and Black Widow and crap. Yep, in 20 freaking seconds. No, I'm talking about the whole Avengers in this room. She just says, oh, I'm literally going to solo you all. It's the same concept when we see her take on Spider-Man villains like the Vulture. Like, I wouldn't call her Bugs Bunny necessarily, but there is moments she has where she does feel gaggy or gaggy. I mean, for one, her comics are a little bit more funnier. I mean, they even do the little gag Looney Tune cloud fight thing. Like, you see this little cloud thing? If you watch the Looney Tune gag cartoons, you know what a fight cloud is, right? The writers put this in her comic to kind of imply gag, you know? I mean, we literally seen her uppercut a freaking frost giant and even get hit by these large beings. Man, the features just get crazier, man. Mr. Sinister. You guys know how strong Colossus is. I would consider Colossus a heavy hitter. How is she affecting beings that are mimicking the powers of Colossus, guys? Make this make sense, man. If this doesn't prove she's got some gaggy elements to her, I don't know what does. Like, how the heck does this even work against Dr. Doom? A whole bunch of squirrels she can summon, by the way, and force Dr. Doom to retreat. Like, what? For some reason, these squirrels can overwhelm powerhouses, apparently. Like, she's doing gaggy stuff like defeating Fin Fang Foom. Like, the news people even say, what's next? Apparently took on Mandarin, an Iron Man villain, Dr. Doom again. Even if it's cheating type of ways, like her and her squirrels working together is kind of a lethal combination. Apparently even took on Thanos off screen. Like, man, this is getting ridiculous. Like, oh my goodness. You know Dormammu? Oh man. Dormammu, his realm is full of ghosts, all sorts of ghosts. So they thought of an idea. There was a whole bunch of annoyed squirrel ghosts with some unfinished business with humans. She can literally make the ghost squirrels attack Dormammu. She made Dormammu retreat? We literally seen her block a punch from Dr. Doom. She worked together with her future self to take on Kang the Conqueror. I didn't really go over her fighting skills, but yeah, Wolverine can actually fight. Not just kind of his claws, by the way. And we see Squirrel Girl kind of getting a skill type of sparring session with Wolverine. Wolverine did kind of get the upper hand, though. When it comes to fighting speed or reflexes and stuff, she's fast enough to combat with some of the faster super soldier tiers in Marvel. She's also able to do what a lot of Marvel characters can do, reacting and dodging bullets. Energy blast type spell type stuff she can avoid. There's implications she can react to lightning fast stuff, like this electrical blast. Reacts and deflects all these lasers. Repulsor blast. Yeah, she's fast. Ultron blast she dodges. Kang the Conqueror. She leaps through via agility and reflexes, all these lasers. It's like a laser grid she leaped through. You guys know lasers at light speed, like teaming up with her squirrels to get the advantage over MODOK. You literally see her avoiding lasers from MODOK because of her squirrel agility. How overpowered is she? Do you think she's a gag character? Yeah, she's a little Looney Toony, but sometimes she's realistic. It really depends. She's pretty smart though, like she can put together some Iron Man armor, even if they're randomly jumbled together, you see. She can talk and reason with giant ants. Your thoughts on her are more than welcome below. She's literally taking blasts from Dr. Doom. But like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button, and thanks for the donations, folks. It helps out a lot. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.